Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to see all of you. This is probably the biggest crowd we've had out in Mounds View for a city function in a long time, and it's really awesome to see all of you. And I want to welcome everyone to the Mounds View State of the City. I am Mayor Zach Lindstrom, and I will be your host for the evening. We do have a great agenda lined up for you as we gather to review the state of our city. Tonight, we are changing the format of this address from a speech by the mayor to a format that reflects the real governance of our city. It's not just one person's perspective that matters. The strength of Mounds View is in the active public conversations we have among many diverse voices on each issue and each decision. Tonight, local leaders closest to the work will share this stage to report what was accomplished last year and what lies ahead. As always, citizens' voices matter too. There will be time to take your questions and comments following the presentation. There will be note cards and pens passed out for you to write down your questions, and we will read them and answer your questions. As your questions come up, please kindly write them down and pass them to staff. So if you need a note card, just raise your hand and then staff will bring them to you and then collect them from you when you're done with that. First, I'd like to welcome Community Engagement Committee Chair Shauna Bach to the stage. Thank you, Shauna and Andre, for dedicating your time to building this committee to hear and understand the ideas and needs of all Mounds View residents as you advise how we can better serve them as a city. Please join me in welcoming Shauna and Andre, who isn't here this evening. They are very energetic and optimistic citizen leaders to kick off the state of the city.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you to Mayor Lindstrom and the City Council for having me speak today. So, as the mayor said, my name is Shauna Bach. I am the co-chair of the newly formed Community Engagement Committee with Andre, who is not able to join us here today. So the Community Engagement Committee started this past spring with just Andre and I. The mayor had approached us saying that he wanted to get this committee up and running, and would Andre and I be willing to take this on? And we are very enthusiastic, so we said, sure, we will figure this out. So Andre and I started with some listening sessions because we felt that would be the best way to engage the community is if we knew what the community was looking for, because maybe what's best for me and my family is not what's good for Andre and his family or other residents of Mounds View. So we spent a couple months going around to various housing complexes. We went to community center. We went to a lot of places just listening to the residents, asking them what makes Mounds View a great place to live? What are some things that could make Mounds View a better place to live? What are some things you'd like to see in our city? What are some things you wish we didn't have in our city? And we gathered a lot of feedback from those listening sessions. We also had a community survey that we had pretty decent response to a community survey, and just really spent some time gathering feedback from residents. We had a handful of people who said they were interested in joining Andre and I on the Community Engagement Committee. We had our very first meeting this past Wednesday. There were, I think, 7 or 8 of us total in this committee, and our goal is just to engage more with the community, to listen to people, to plan some community events, one that you'll hear about later on tonight, upcoming. If you saw or participated in the Juneteenth event, that was something the Community Engagement Committee did. So we're just a group of people who want to make Mounds View the best place Mounds View can be, and continue just to provide opportunities for our residents. We do have an email address now for the Community Engagement Committee. You can find it on the city's website. So if you do have suggestions or you want to be part of the committee, the more the merrier. Everyone is welcome to join us. We meet, right now we've been meeting on Wednesday evenings at City Hall. So you can find all of our information on the city's website. If you have any questions or concerns or you want to join us, please find that email address and we'd be happy to hear from you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. We're very excited about the work that you've already done and the work that you will do, and you know, we're just so happy that we're going to be able to touch more corners of the community that we haven't. Sorry, I just said we're very excited about the work they have done and the work that they will do, and we're very excited about being able to connect with more corners of the community and really finding out what it is that we can do to be a more welcoming and inclusive community overall. Next up, I would like to call up your City Council representatives, Gary Mielhaus, Sherry Gunn, Teresa Cermak, and Julie Clark, to report on the state of the city through their work as a hardworking team. As they find their way to the stage, I want to express how extremely grateful I am to the team for all the things we have been able to work on and accomplish this last year. Please give them a round of applause.
Well, thank you, Mayor Lindstrom, and welcome everyone. When Mayor Lindstrom discussed tonight's meeting at our last work session, he wanted council members to share their thoughts on priorities moving forward. Instead of talking about priorities, because they could be construed as one using their time for campaign purposes, I'm going to highlight accomplishments that have occurred over the past several years, which in many cases will continue benefiting residents and future councils for years from now. Minor accomplishments have included supported the urban farming trend by modifying the city's ordinance to allow residents to have chickens and or ducks and honeybees. Updating the solar panel ordinance, making it easier for residents and businesses to consider solar. In fact, the city installed solar panels on the community center and City Hall and also converted all of our buildings to LED lighting. We became a recognized Green Step city, steps 1, 2, and 3. We developed 2 3-year strategic plans, which the city had not had in many years, if ever. We were an active partner in the I-35W coalition that resulted in MnDOT receiving federal funding for their IW-35 MnPass project and building sound walls along US 10 and I-35W that benefited Mounds View residents who live in the LaPorte, Colonial Village Manufacturing Home Park, and Mounds View Manufacturing Home Park neighborhoods. We partnered with the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Committee to install new or refurbished playgrounds at Silverview, Hodges, Greenfield, Groveland, and City Hall parks. We installed a splash pad. We refurbished the Hodges Park building. We expanded the trailway system, and we renamed Hodges Random Park to Hodges Park in honor of Don and Amy Hodges and their many contributions to this community. We also partnered with Ramsey County to rename County Road 10 Mounds View Boulevard. Major accomplishments, thank you. Major accomplishments with several having long-term positive contributions have been, we purchased the Roberts and Skyline motel properties for redevelopment, which also greatly reduced the number of police calls that were made at those 2 locations. And Chief Zender could definitely second that. We hired Nate Harder as police chief, who successfully transformed the culture of the Mounds View Police Department. We approved an ordinance eliminating discriminatory racial covenants language on homeowners' property deeds and approved staff assisting the homeowners with completing and filing the form that addresses the language. We completed the 10-year street project. We also approved an implementation and financing plan to address streets not included in the 10-year project and perform appropriate maintenance on all streets. The finance plan includes continuing the policy of not assessing property owners for the project cost. We approved implementation of the Water Preservation Program, more commonly known as HOP, which has refurbished the 3 water treatment plants and has reduced inflow and infiltration, commonly referred to as I&I, into the sewer system by lining the city's main sewer lines and implementing the private sewer line inspection program, which helps reduce the unnecessary processing of surface water by Met Council. We approved and adopted a stormwater management plan, which has positioned the city as one of the very few communities that actually has such a plan. We have balanced. We also approved the development of a master park plan, which is still being finalized. We have balanced fiscal responsibility with appropriate investments in the community and its infrastructure while maintaining appropriate fund balances. And lastly, and one I'm very proud of, we are on track to balance the city's general fund budget for the first time in 15 years. Any city council accomplishment only happens when you have council members that are working together as a team. The council members I have served with over the past 12 years have a legacy they can be very proud of. And as I stated earlier, some of these accomplishments are long-lasting. I would like to conclude by recognizing and thanking those individuals that I've served with. Former Mayor Joe Flaherty, former council member and Mayor Carol Mueller, everyone's favorite council member and my friend, former Mayor Al Hall, former council member Bill Bergeron, and my current council members Sherry Gunn, Teresa Cermak, and Julie Clark, and former council member and current mayor Zach Lindstrom. Thank you.
Guess it's my turn. Hi, I'm Sherry Gunn, for those of you who don't know. And I've been on the council for a long time. Sorry about that. But this is my last 2 years. I have 2 daughters, and they both lived, one's in Ridgefield and one's in Burnsville. And I have a new baby granddaughter that grandma needs to move down to get closer to her. So this will be my last 2 years here in council and here in Mounds U. I want to talk about a couple of projects, one that we have done and one that we are working on right now. Residents have stated that they want to have that small town feeling back, that bedroom community that we seem to be pushing into being a suburb of the big cities. So what do small towns usually have? One of them is some kind of major park or playground, something that will keep our residents here, that they don't have to travel outside of the city to go to. We went to a League of Minnesota Cities conference in St. Cloud 7 years ago. And in their park was this marvelous thing where water was squirting up all over the place and the kids were running and laughing and screaming. I said, we need one of these in Mounds U. And it was a splash pad. So it took me 6 years to finally get it to come to fruition. And we have the splashdown splash pad here at City Hall Park and the new playground. It is busy all summer long. Birthday parties, family outings, people coming from out of town to come and play, the kids play in our splash pad. And I know a lot of people thought it was frivolous, but I'm very proud that that got accomplished. Thank you. Thank you. Now, our latest project, we talked about having some kind of a veterans memorial here at City Hall Park. And we talked about it for a while, and then it got put on the shelf, and we brought it back up again. This time we came up as being a tribute park. So when you're done here, go over here and look at the plans, at what we have. So in this park, well, it's part of the park. There will be monuments to the PD, the EMS, and our fire department. There will be monuments to the 65 tornado, the pipeline fire, and the 35W bridge collapse, where we lost residents from our community in all three of those. And then when you look around the path, we will have flags and monuments for each one of the branches of the military. It will be lit, LED lights, which will be able to change colors per holiday, like the 35W bridge does. In fact, we have a piece of that bridge, which will also be put out as part of that. And when you go over there, also look at the paver, the big brick that's on the table. Those you will be able to purchase for your loved one who has served in the military or as fire or EMS or police, and those will line the sidewalk going all the way down into the tribute park. So if you look, every place, not every place, but most of the smaller towns, have some type of memorial. We wanted to have one too. The committee is now going to be in the process of doing fundraising. Hopefully we will not have to use taxpayer money unless you want to give a donation. I'm not fundraising, but in case, it's there. And I think it's going to be something, again, that we can be proud of and having here in our community. And thank you so much, you guys. It's been an honor to serve you all. So thank you.
All right. Good evening, Mounds U. I'm very excited to be part of tonight's State of the City. I'm Councilmember Julie Clark, and I was elected in the special election last April. And it's been a lot. Oh, this one? Okay. This is right. All right. I'm sorry. Is that better? Okay, good evening. I will start over. I'm very excited to be a part of tonight's State of the City. I'm Councilmember Julie Clark, and I was elected in the special election last April. And it has been a lot of work, but I'm enjoying it. And my favorite part has been getting to meet and know so many of you at community events and through the groups that I'm involved in and appointed to. As I've quickly learned, it is impossible to do everything. The council essentially has to work as a team. We must work together. Not one or two of us has the ability to make any decisions on our own. And the best part about this is, as we all serve in our different capacities, we are able to listen and then come back together and share all of your voices with each other. We need unity in order to attune to the needs of all of our residents. My first assignment was council liaison to the festival in the park. The festival is a citizen-run nonprofit that has planned, fundraised, and executed our annual summer parade and festival since 1975. Last spring, the team decided to expand the community involvement and hosted an Easter egg hunt. It unexpectedly drew over 1,000 people and was a bit chaotic, but overall a huge success and learning experience. We've already collected over 10,000 eggs for next year and will possibly be adding a bunny run. Last August, we had our annual summer festival and car show. With a new parade route, we were able to reach more of the city, and the party afterwards at the splash pad was over the top. The next day, we had 17 food trucks and 64 craft vendors, more than 100 cars in the car show, senior activities, kids games and activities, live music and fireworks. And I want to thank everyone who came out to celebrate with us, and many thanks to the Public Works staff and police and fire departments for participating in this huge community event every year. And thank you to the festival team and volunteers who made it happen. Our next planning meeting is tomorrow at Public Works at 6:30 if anybody is interested in joining and helping on that team. I was also assigned as the liaison to the Park Master Plan Steering Committee this summer. Last winter, the council voted to hire WSB to create a park master plan for our city. There was a citizen committee formed by applicants and many listening sessions around town, as Shauna shared. And to get input, it was in addition to the community engagement. It was separate. And they were getting input on the parks for priorities, wants, and needs. This project is still in the works, but we should be getting results and recommendations by the end of the year. We need a plan to maintain and fund our parks. Historically, they have been funded through new development, park dedication fees, and special project funds. And as a master plan like this will allow us to apply for grant money to help us carry part of the financial burden. For example, New Brighton just completed theirs and was awarded several grants that totaled nearly $1 million. I'm looking forward to having a plan in place for one of our city's greatest assets and amenities, our parks. Project Arden, that I'm a part of, hosted a park cleanup at City Hall earlier this month, and thank you to all the volunteers that came out and pulled weeds, and the City Hall park just looks so beautiful and cleaned up. We will be at the community center on Thursday night, sponsoring a spooky door for the fall festival from 6 to 8 here. So stop by and say hi. I'm also excited to be a part of the Community Engagement Committee. I just created their logo and made a flyer for the event coming up in December. So thank you everyone for coming tonight and taking time to watch this online. It's so important to learn about what is going on in our city. By taking an active part of our community, you are more likely to feel that Mounds View is home. And I wanted to challenge you to take a little extra time this next year to invest in our community by becoming more familiar. Read the Mounds View Matters, come to a council meeting, search the website, or reach out to one of us with questions or concerns. Sign up for a class at the community center, meet your neighbors, say hi to people when you're out and about, or just smile. Volunteer on a commission or in one of our many nonprofits, PTAs, or schools. Let's be the kind of welcoming community that Mounds View has historically been known for. And by doing this, I'm hoping we will create more civic pride, contagious community effort, and a commitment to making Mounds View a safe and welcoming home for everyone. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Teresa Cermak. I've lived in the city for 37 years. As you can see, I have my favorite shirt on. It is the Mounds View Police Foundation. I was never so proud as when Chief Harder came through my drive-through when I worked overnights and asked me if I would become part of that. We support 18 officers, 2 canines, and it's really fun to work with Chief Zender on this project. They respond to more than 11,000 calls for service every year, and we do over a dozen outreach, like Cone with a Cop, Shop with a Cop. We just did Faith in Blue this last Sunday, where we held a bake sale, and we said donation, and we counted the money at the end, and it was over $700 just at Cross of Glory. So they must feel that our services are needed, and I feel that they are too. I also am the liaison to SBM Fire. I jumped right on that when they asked for one. SBM stands for Spring Lake Park, Blaine, and Mounds View. And we protect the 4th largest population in the state of Minnesota. We are increasing, our calls are increasing. I just saw one as I was getting ready to come here, like at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And they also continue to be a national leader in fire protection, not protection, prevention. I know that we talked about the Skyline Hotel. I now live in that development. And yeah, it's pretty quiet over there. And they asked me why I can't come to anything. They're having a potluck this week. And I said, well, because I'm doing something else for the police department or one of the other groups that I belong to. So they go, oh, I go, well, I'm sorry, I still work. You know, that's what we do. Last but not least, at the last meeting, we had our representative from Tubman come and speak to us about what they have done this year. I can be a witness. If it was not for Tubman, I would not be standing here. I would not be talking to you because I had a very awful husband and I almost didn't make it through one of the occurrences with him. And because of Tubman, I'm here to talk to you today. So if you're asked about Tubman and should we support them, yes, we should. And we should support our police, we should support our fire, we should support our festival and the park people, of who I see her president is right out there. Her and I worked together from 18 to 19 so that we shifted it over, and that's when I resigned and Catherine took it over. So I've seen great things happen because of that. So thank you, Catherine, for doing that. And then the next year it's COVID and she didn't even get to do anything. So, and I got them moved over to Silverview. So all of us up here, we all have a special talent and we do very well at working together or at least trying. I will miss you, Sherry. But I understand why she's going where she's going. So that concludes what I have to say to you, except that thank you for all coming and showing us support. Thank you.
Sorry, the committee over there asked me to say this and I forgot. One of the things that you can get are the paver bricks, like I said. If you don't know how to find the rank and years service of your loved one, if you're interested in getting one of those, there are some sites here that you can go check. And it's the National Archives, the NPRC, or www.va.gov under military records, or the www.archives.gov. And you want to look for the Form 180. And that should help you get the information that you need to put down on the bricks. That's all I got.
On a side note, too, we do have a member of Ramsey County Veteran Services in the crowd. If you'd be kind enough to raise your hand, he could probably help you out, too. All right, now it is my privilege to offer my perspective on the state of the city at the end of my first year as your mayor. The state of Mounds View is strong. And I'll say it again, the state of our city is strong. The state of our city has roots as old and strong as the state itself. Mounds View Township was born the same day that Minnesota became a state in 1858. Another cool fun fact of our history is that the modern village of Mounds View was incorporated 100 years later in 1958. We continue to change and grow as a community. Tonight, let's review the evidence about the strength of the city and the people of Mounds View. Let's remember that just over a year ago, our community was grieving the loss of Mayor Al Hall, who passed away unexpectedly May 20th of 2023. And I want to begin by remembering Mayor Hall and his service to Mounds View. He took his place in a 165-year history of local leaders who contributed to the changing needs of the people across time. I want to extend my sympathy to his family and friends. As I stand at this podium tonight, it is the privilege of my life that Al welcomed me to the council in the short time that I served with him. Al was beginning his first year as mayor and his 17th year as public service, and he will be forever missed in our community. We miss you, Al. So why are we strong? We are strong because we work in the community's best interest. Our city held 2 special elections because of Al's passing. I was elected to serve out his term. That left a council seat open, which was filled by the election of Julie Clark. Our city is set to amend the charter to make certain our community would have a plan in place to guide future vacancies from that experience. We are strong because we are nonpartisan. This year, we had a whole host of candidates come through our town. We listened and learned. We asked good questions regardless of whether our views aligned or not. We challenged ourselves to think outside of the box. This is what a strong community does. We are strong because of our staff. We have an experienced city administrator in Niall Zickman who oversees the professional staff work of our team of 50-plus employees. I also want to give out a shout out to Police Chief Ben Zender, Chief Dan Retka, our Fire Chief, Don Peterson, our Director of Public Works and Parks and Recreation, Rayla Ewald, our Human Resources Director, Brian Beeman, our Assistant City Administrator, and our Community Development and Economic Development Director, our Finance Director, Gail Bauman, who just completed her first year with us. And I'd also like to thank all of the city staff. They do a great job, and they are the working backbone of this city. We are strong because our professional staff in Mounds View excels at preventative action. Think about all the practical important jobs like water meters, water valves, the completion of our street reconstruction project, and we're working on safe parking pads near the splash pad to name a few examples of things that get done, often without any recognition. So the next time you run into any of the city staff, just take time to say thanks. We are strong because we have fun, and we saw the return of the Mounds View Mermaid in the parade this year. And we are still actively working with the business to bring her back. Families enjoyed the egg hunt and the traditional festival in the park in August, and we will have the fall festival coming up next. We are strong because our community cares about others outside our community. Our community gets involved in good works like the clothing drive for Liberia. It takes volunteer time to make these things happen, and we are a city of people who just say yes. We are strong because we care about the quality and safety of our schools. We were able to work with our state elected officials and with our school leaders to get our school resource officers back into the schools last year. We have since forged stronger relationships with Pinewood Elementary and have a fantastic working relationship with keeping that school safe, as well as Edgewood Middle School. We are proud our department plays an active role in keeping our children safe. Communication between the city and school leaders is important because all of us care about our students and the people who work there. We welcomed new principal Lena Christensen to Pinewood Elementary this year after Principal Skinner moved on. She is an incredible person, and Mounds View is lucky to have her call this place her home. I look forward to the collaboration between the school and the city in the upcoming year. We are strong because we care about natural resources. We are working on a Parks and Recreation Master Plan with WSB. The city is currently undertaking a citywide planning effort meant to identify the greatest community needs for improvements or changes to our current parks. So we need to know what is most important to you. That input will be valuable as we make decisions about park and trail improvements as well as programs and events at our community center. Is it park event space, better playgrounds, a skate park, pickleball, or some program you would like to attend? Our consultants have studied our system and attended various events over the last couple months. And there will be one more opportunity for you to chat with them upcoming this Thursday at the Fall Festival. So please, take some time Let them know what you feel would be most important to improve our parks and trails. You can also visit our city website where there is a link to provide comments on an interactive map. If you are not able to attend the Fall Festival, they plan on providing, you can use the city website if you're not able to attend the Fall Festival. They do plan on providing some recommendations and options to us in December, so please be on the lookout for upcoming dates to check those out and provide your feedback. We really appreciate and need your help to make this a great plan for everyone. Caring about our natural resources also includes stormwater pond restoration at Arden Park later this year and the first of its kind wetland credit banking project in Ramsey County. You might be asking, why are we looking at this? And it's simple. We heard your voices loud and clear. You wanted this piece of green space protected. Should that come to fruition through the wetland banking project, the Arden Park area will be forever protected from any type of development. We are a strong community because of the Community Engagement Committee. The idea started with an open intention to get more people involved in issues that really matter in effective ways that can bring the biggest impact. It's working. You already heard from Shauna minutes ago. Much has been done and there's more to do to be sure we are connecting with all corners of the community. For those of you who did attend our city's first Juneteenth celebration this year or saw it on cable, I'm confident that you will agree that the work of this committee is already a very big piece of our future strength. Their tagline, "Welcome Home," is already at the heart of our city. We are strong because we believe actions of one person can be the change we want to see. That is the fundamental part of my call to public service, and I know it is shared by the people of Mounds View. In 2023 and 2024, one of my first priorities as mayor was opening up the dialogue at our city council meetings and work sessions. We have more public commentary and input at our meetings, and we are a healthier, stronger community because of it. Let me offer tonight as a history-making example the story of one resident for years, resident Selena Mond, shared her voice for change against racial covenants and deeds. So did Renee Johnson. We took a hard look at the data from the Mapping Prejudice Project and found 571 prejudicial covenants in Mounds View, one of the highest percentages in the entire metro. And then we took action. We became the first city to take on racial covenants by changing our ordinance to require them to be discharged at the sale of a home. How could we call ourselves an inclusive community with the words, "This home shall not be sold to a non-white person," buried in the deeds of 571 homes? This issue is intensely personal for many citizens, including my wife and me. Being married to a person of color myself, it was time to do something about it. I want to thank Niall Zickman for steady leadership as we researched options and decided to change our ordinance to permanently erase these horrible paragraphs as properties are sold or as homeowners voluntarily remove the language through the simple free process we have defined. And let me underscore that this process we offer is simple and free. I'm proud to say that residents Steve and Renee Johnson were the first to discharge their covenant, and tonight we're able to celebrate the 100th covenant coming in to be discharged on this special night of the status of the city by Michael and Kathy Gluck. I'm so deeply proud of what we've accomplished together. We are strong in working with partners too. This year we forged a relationship with Arden Hills and we are working on co-branding our recreation program offerings to create a more robust offering as well as making sure we have enough program participants to make them go. We are very excited to see what kind of opportunities this will present for our residents and children. We are strong financially. Mounds View, for the first time since 2008, is balancing its budget and stopping deficit spending against the Medtronic money, which does not have an infinite supply. As it sits right now, we are in position where we can tackle this problem and deal with it in a fiscally responsible way for today and the future. The average home will see a tax increase of about $100 from last year, or about $850 a month. That revenue will position us to transition into a full-time fire department for the first time in the department's history. We salute the many volunteer firefighters who have served years in the volunteer model that protected our city well for decades. However, that model can't serve our higher needs today, and we must begin actively planning for full-time staff serving the needs of the 3 cities whose partners for fire services. These increased funds will also be allocated for the street levy to ensure no Mounds View resident receives an assessment when their street comes up for improvement. We will also dedicate part of these new funds to our Economic Development Authority funds so we can continue to support and attract businesses to Mounds View. The decision to balance the budget is in the city's long-term best interest. It's simply just time to get it done. The decision to raise taxes came only after every one of us on the council and staff worked to review the expenses of city services, where cuts to cost could be made without impacting services that residents depend upon. We made them. One of the things we decided to do is rescind our own salary increase we were set to get next year. We understood it is unfair to ask you to pay a little more while giving ourselves a raise. One of the things I think is unanimous amongst all members of this council is that we would like to leave Mounds View a better place than we found it, and having a balanced budget sits atop that list. Heaven forbid if something happened to all of us. The next team would be able to step in starting in the best possible financial situation. They could be and would be able to meet the needs of Mounds View residents, and that is vitally important to us as servants of this community. We are strong because we face tough decisions like these and others together. There is one more thing I feel a leadership obligation to speak about tonight at the end of the State of the City address. And I will say, if the biggest topic in our community is organized collection, I think we're doing pretty good. It is our unanimous opinion that our city is stronger with our charter amendment to ensure that your rights as citizens are best protected by giving you the opportunity to vote on an organized collection waste hauling system. As I speak to you tonight, I do not know the outcome of the ballot question about organized collection. Whether it passes or not, the issue of trash collection affects every one of us and the pocketbooks of every resident and the city. It became clear as the city researched the issue that there was a legitimate reason to offer an organized contract. The contract offers potential benefits to the environment, roads, and full price transparency for the next 7 years without any hidden fees. We have residents in some cases paying 200% more for the same service as their neighbor. The inequity in the current system is concerning. Through our bill analysis, we believe the average monthly bill is somewhere between $40 and $45. And I know there are some of you that pay more, and I know that there are some of you that pay less. Through this contract, our highest bill price will be $27.05. And that includes trash, recycling, and all fees. Let me get there. There will be roughly 3,800 residential units that would be impacted if the change were to occur. Conservatively, if the average savings is $10 a month per home, that adds up to being $456,000 a year in potential savings for Mounds View residents. All this information is on the city webpage under the Organized Collection tab, and if you would like a hard copy, please see Administrator Zickman. That said, I understand there are many residents who are just fine with the system staying the way it is, and they want their ability to choose their hauler and negotiate their own prices. And I do not want to in any way diminish the sanctity of choice. It is the bedrock of our democracy and our rights as people. I'm not going to stand here and tell you how to vote on this issue. I am confident as a community we will collectively decide the way forward that makes sense for us, just as we have done with all the examples that you've heard this evening and why our city is so strong. That said, I do respect everyone's right to free speech, and we have all seen the mailers coming from the lobbyist group on behalf of the haulers telling you how to vote and demonizing people on the council, which I am personally not a fan of. This issue should be voted on by its merit, and I hope that that's what we do as a community. And I encourage you, all of you, to look at the data and ask yourself what is best for you and what is best for our city as a whole. One of the reasons we have chosen to have Lakeshore Recycling System, or LRS, here this evening is they are the group that won the bid for the organized collection contract. And we have invited them here to provide factual information about the contract and organized collections. We are champions of truthful and factual information for our voters to make informed decisions on this issue, and we genuinely want you to have it. This is a very important decision for our community, and we are going to take your questions on this topic and any other questions that you may have. David Meyer, the area manager for LRS, is here to answer your questions regarding organized collection, and either myself or staff or another council member will answer any questions that you have. So if you remember those note cards that I mentioned earlier, if you have questions, now would be the time to submit them to staff, and we can go through them now. I think I can answer this one. This first question, we have Joshua Connell, the managing partner of LRS as well. The first question is, who will be responsible for billing the residents, LRS or city staff? And that would be LRS. Yeah, so the first question was, who will be responsible for the billing? Will it be the city or will it be LRS? And LRS will be doing the billing for trash service. Okay, so this question is regarding the cancellation charges for garbage can pickup if we vote for the plan. So if this passes, will there be a pickup fee for the new cans?
So we've posed that question to our city attorney. Unless you have a written contract with your existing hauler that's in there, they don't believe that's enforceable, that they can impose that fee and have you pay that. You'd also have the choice of just not paying that fee if you didn't feel it was your obligation to pay for them to pick up their toter. That was almost a direct quote from the city attorney.
That said, we have also talked about if it becomes an issue, we'll do it ourselves. We don't want anybody getting a fee for any type of can removal or pickup. The city. Yeah, all of us. For the tribute park, could you include 911 dispatchers? They rarely get recognition they deserve, and we couldn't do it without them.
It's something that we can talk about. The plans are pretty well set in stone. Little humor there. So I don't know. We'll talk it over with the group. I'm the liaison. I'm not the group, but we'll talk Mr. Peterson, Mr. Zickman, and the other committee members and see what we can come up with. But that's a good idea. Thank you.
So this one is, why a new hauler? It costs more, there's no choice, and why keep bringing this up? Yeah, okay. So the reason that, so let's just start from the bottom. Why keep bringing this up? So this has been an issue that's been on the burner plate since 2016. And it was part of the strategic initiative that was set in 2021 to bring it back for another conversation with the community. I personally am not a big fan of continuing to talk about things, and the commitment that I made when we first took this on early in 2022 is that I'm willing to see it through to the end, regardless of what the outcome is. I'm good with it whatever way it is, and the council has the same sentiment about that. But it's been on the burner plate for 9 years, and it's time to bring it to a head and make a decision. I know that some people felt like a decision was made in the past. When I believe there was a number of residents that came to City Hall in 2016, and the council just stopped pursuing it. They never got a contract, they never got a price, they never got anything. And through doing the investigation and the price analysis that's out there, you voted on the chart. You voted to amend the charter to retain your right to vote on the issue. This has never been put to an actual vote to change the system, and so the no choice piece. If organized collection does pass, LRS will be the hauler. I don't know that it costs. I know that it may cost more for some people through the 80-ish bills we collected. Like I said in the speech, we believe that the average cost is between $40 and $45 a month from what we've seen. And the contract offering at the highest price is what, $27.20. So could it cost more for some people? It could. Will it cost less for some people? It will. And why a new hauler? The new hauler was selected because we received 7 bids, and their bid was the most price competitive. They offered us the most recourse in the contract, meaning they're okay with saying if we do a bad job, you can fire us, whereas other haulers struck that from their contract. Well, I'm just saying that was an offering that made the contract attractive to the city. Also, they are new to the area, but as somebody that's new to the area, they serve 2 million homes. I don't think the 3,800 units that are in Mounds View are a heavy lift. I do believe that there are going to be 3 cities that are going to go organized next year that are our neighbors, and they're going to need a good reference. And I don't think they can afford to come in here and do a bad job. And so the cumulative total of pricing, recourse, and the fact that they're willing to dedicate customer service to having a Minnesotan pick up the phone and service the community of Mounds View, those were all attractive points as to why they were selected as the hauler for the bid. You guys want to add anything to that?
No, I think you hit it well. I know there's been some.
Yeah.
No, I think a couple other points too. Some of the points of contention is, like I said, we do have the local customer service. It will be answered here in Minnesota. We have an office that's like 15 minutes away from here in Minneapolis. We have over 100 employees that work here in the Twin Cities. We have a MRF that processes a lot of C&D material here. So obviously in Minneapolis, we don't have any residential contracts. I've been with LRS for 12 years, and we oversee 4 contracts in southeast Minnesota. So like I said, we're new to the Twin Cities from a contract perspective, but we have a team of people that work for us that have dealt with other municipal contracts. Services is our key, right? Like he spoke on, we need to provide you guys a service. So as we grow in this community, we can use you guys as a reference and say like, hey, we're gonna do a good job. Like you have my commitment that it's gonna be someone answering the phone. If you have any questions, you're gonna contact us. I know another thing that was going out there was about the city having all of your guys' information on the garbage cans. They'll have no information in regards to what container size you guys have. Everything will be housed with LRS, so we'll have all of that information. So if someone went to the city and said, hey, we need this information, it wouldn't be obtainable. Josh, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think you hit it pretty well. My name is Josh Connell. I'm one of the co-founders of the company 24 years ago, and we have very humble beginnings. I started this company with 1 truck. We really didn't get into the residential part of the business till about 15 years ago. And believe me, we understand how important this is. This is a service that affects every home every week with waste, recycling, and yard waste collection services. And our success has really been because of our commitment. You know, we're big enough, in this industry, you have to be big enough now. A garbage truck costs about $500,000, and there's been significant consolidation. We have been in this market for a little over 4 years. Like David said, this would be our first residential contract, though, in the Twin Cities. But a lot of our competitors, they're from Houston, 2 of them. One's from Scottsdale. There's not a lot of local waste companies here anymore. They're about as local as we are. We're 4 years local, though. Some of them might be a decade or more local. But like David said, we've got over 100 people here, and we've been very successful. We've been successful because we care. We're nimble enough and financially strong enough to be supportive of our communities, making sure we have brand new trucks on the street, brand new carts for residents, and having a customer service team that's there and available for questions and concerns that may pop up, or extra pickups that come up too. So this, you know, again, we don't, you know, we have a little bit of a dog in the hunt here, but we understand it though. We've worked with other communities that have looked at this decision. We haven't seen any go to a vote like this, so I do commend Mounds View and their city council and staff for actually making this a vote for the residents. But we do think that this is what the future is going to be in Minnesota, the whole state. We do have legislation that's affecting everyone from a recycling perspective, where we might see the producers of materials that you buy in the grocery store, you know, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, those companies. It's called extended producer responsibility, where they're going to pay for recycling with the legislation that just passed. The state's still working on the mechanics of it, but the best way to do that is to have organized collection so that the city gets the money, they could pay for your recycling services, that then we provide the waste service for. So that's why I think we're seeing a lot of communities in the area. They're going to look for organized collection. One, it is a great price. 2, it's less wear and tear on the street. So there are some benefits. As a waste hauler, selfishly, and I don't mind saying this, I like the open market too. You know, we could charge $30, $40 for the service instead of, you know, charging in the 20s. But I do think there are some benefits. There's co-benefits to it. We get the benefit of having efficiencies, and the city gets the benefits of having a good price. And if you look at the contract, there's a lot of, you know, we've got liquidated damages in there. We've got audits. There's a lot of ways that the city could hold us accountable so that we're doing a good job. And a question did come up with, how would you replace us? Believe me, there's about 4 other waste haulers, or the other 6 that bid on it, that would line up here and be here tomorrow for services. So that shouldn't scare anybody, that if you go to this, what happens if something goes wrong? First of all, I want to give a commitment that it won't go wrong. This is something that we do every day. We service over 200 communities in the upper Midwest, and we service quite a few in Minnesota, many of them in the open market, and a few with contracted service. So, but we are for any other additional questions, and look forward to hopefully servicing Mounds View here in the future.
We got another one here for you. It says, do you plan on selling your company anytime soon? And if so, is there a clause to rework the contract?
I hope that there's not a clause to rework the contract, but no, we don't plan on selling anytime soon. We're at a size now which is kind of unique. We're not one of the biggest guys out there like Waste Management, Republic, or ACE that's owned by Waste Connections. That's the 3rd largest waste hauler in North America. We're kind of in that sweet spot where, you know, we're big enough where we really can't get bought by some of the big guys. The Justice Department wouldn't allow it because of anti-competitiveness. And so we're kind of in a sweet spot. If this makes the group feel better, me and my partner, we did sell the majority of our company to a private equity group many years ago, and we stayed on really just to do the things that we wanted to do, which was build infrastructure for recycling, make sure our fleet was up to the latest and greatest in technology. So we're kind of at a spot now that we really can't sell to anybody. And you will see LRS in the Midwest for many, many decades to come.
If fuel goes up, is our bills going to go up?
No.
How could you lock in? I've got a notice now that my dumpster fees are going to go up 15% because of the landfills. How could you incorporate that in your bid?
We want to keep the questions on the card, but go ahead.
But no, yeah, we've locked them in. When you talk about fuel can be a big part of our expense, and we hedge fuel. to kind of offset some of that. And fuel usually is somewhere between 6 and 7% of our cost. But that's, again, one of the benefits. We saw it during COVID. During COVID, our residential line of business got killed. Everybody was at home, working from home. We couldn't raise our prices. Our costs went up over 25% during COVID for the residential line of business. But again, we're a diversified company. We're one of the larger roll-off companies in the Twin Cities. We bought Atomic, if anyone's ever seen their trucks and containers around. We've owned Atomic for almost 4 years now. We also have one of the largest portable toilet businesses in the Twin Cities market, all the glamorous businesses. So just being diversified helps us, make sure that we can commit to making sure that, whether fuel goes up or disposal goes up, this is the price. We've got caps on what we could raise every year, which is really tied to CPI with a minimum and maximum. So.
Well, you guys actually committed to a maximum of 3.5%.
Yes, maximum. So there you go. It can't go up more than 3.5%. So.
These ones are all for you, and I'm going to read them in succession, and I might get some of them wrong. The first one is does LRS have waste bins? And the answer to that question is yes.
One thing to add on that too is all the waste containers would be new containers, so everybody would be receiving brand new containers.
And then what does I think this is the $4 additional bag fee for yard waste.
Yeah, so the additional bag fee would be is if you had a yard waste through us and you had a bag that was sitting outside of your container, if you wanted us to pick it up, that would be the $4 charge. So if everything's in your container, there's no additional charge. But if you had a bag sitting outside, that would be the $4 charge. Yes, that would be on a per bag.
That would be, so you're saying if it's...
So you would have your 95-gallon cart of yard waste. If you had anything outside that container, there would be an additional charge. If everything's in the container, it would be the rate that we contracted with you.
Or you can get a second yard waste bin. Yeah, the compost isn't going anywhere. These are just for people, so there are residents that have yard waste containers.
Oh, yep.
There are residents that have yard waste containers that dispose of their leaves or their sticks or whatever in these specific designated containers, and that's a service they offer. I think the average charge out in the marketplace right now is about $200 for yard waste, and they're offering it at $125. How many bags are allowed per week? And I suppose that, how many 7-inch bags are allowed per week? I don't know the answer to that question. 7-inch bag.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the bag size. So with the containers, and there's been some confusion on the container stuff. So I know one of the flyers had, if the lid is cracked, we're going to charge extra. That's completely false. If your lid is cracked, we're not charging extra. We're providing a service to you guys. We understand that. We're not trying to nickel and dime customers by charging for this stuff. So I will say if you had a container that every week had 4 bags on top of it and was stacked 2 feet above, we'll give you a couple warnings, but after the 3rd week, then we might charge. I'm not going to say there will never be a charge, but if your lid is cracked and it's once a year, there's going to be no charge for it. So that was definitely misleading on the flyer that was sent out if the lid was cracked. That's completely false. We will not charge you if your lid is cracked.
So what are your protocols for weather and picking up with heavy snow? Do carts need to be placed to try to, like, so where do, they're essentially, like, do you have a heavy snow protocol, and if carts aren't able to get out to the curb, how will you pick them up? I think that's the core of the question.
So obviously, it's Minnesota. There's obviously going to be some times where we get heavy snow, right? So I guess the best way to say it is we'll do what's probably the safest for the community and our drivers. So if there's a snow day on Thursday and for some reason we say, hey, it's just not safe, we can't get it, we don't think it's safe for them to pull their containers down to the road, we would delay one day and then your service would be just delayed. So we would obviously work with the city council. We would try to put it on the TV channels, on their website, and notify customers. If you opt into a text or an email, we would send a text or an email to all residents that had opted into that service. But obviously we try to provide the service the day that we can. But like I said, it's Minnesota. There's going to be days where we will be delayed just due to heavy snows.
Like our caller sends us a call if they're going to delay service.
Like a text.
Correct. If you opt in, we would text you or we could send an email. So yes, we would have the same capabilities.
You use natural gas?
So we can look at the phone call. I know we do some text. I'm not 100% sure on that if we have the phone call, but I know we have the text and email, and it's something we'll definitely look at with the phone call.
You guys burn diesel, right? Can you write it down for us?
It's right here. Right here. You're still gonna charge me the surcharge? Write it down. Solid waste. Write it down. Hand it in. Ramsey County. Hand it in. Out of order. Hand it in. No, I.
All right, well, I'll hand it in for you.
I wanna know.
He wants to know.
This question, I don't know if you guys can answer this. It says 23% of transportation fossil fuel emissions is caused by large vehicles. How will organized garbage collection help to keep our atmosphere cleaner from our fossil fuel environment?
I think that's actually a pretty easy answer, is if you think about it now on a trash and recycling week, there's 8 trucks going up and down your street, right? If we get this, there would be 8 trucks. If you have trash and recycling, there's 8 trucks going up and down your street, or there's multiple trucks. This way, there's only going to be 2 trucks going up and down your street. There's a trash truck and a recycling truck.
And yard waste.
And yard waste, I apologize. So, yeah, it'll be one truck for each one, so there wouldn't be the 4 haulers going for those. It would just be the 1 hauler.
Aren't you guys, aren't you going to be like on the forefront of electric too?
Well,
Yeah.
we are. Electric is not ready for prime time. We did purchase an electric vehicle. It only works about half the day before it runs out of juice. But we'd like to think as a company that we're on the forefront of all the new technologies. I don't think electric will be the 100% answer. I think it'll be a bifurcated between electric. We're even testing a hydrogen fuel cell truck right now, and it might be hydrogen fuel cell that's helping charge the electric battery. So, we're looking at technologies. We just came out with our first sustainability report because it's important to us, the carbon footprint that we leave behind. We do run some compressed natural gas trucks. We do have a small fleet of those. I wish compressed natural gas was going to be the answer. There's only one manufacturer of a diesel or an engine, a Class A or B truck that makes a compressed natural gas engine. So that kind of gives you an idea what the manufacturers think about compressed natural gas. Only Cummins is the only manufacturer that makes one right now. So there are new technologies. In the meantime, though, clean diesel has made significant headway in the last decade. Starting in 2008 and 9, with new, clean diesels getting very, very close to compressed natural gas. So, but we do think the answer is probably hydrogen fuel cell.
Josh, I think it's important to note the trucks would be new
Yeah.
too.
Do you have to use auto pay, or do you have to pay the $9.95 per billing cycle if you don't?
Boy, that's somebody really digging into our website on our commercial customers. There is no admin fees, no surcharges at all. So somebody looked at a totally different section, I think, that doesn't apply to any of our residential customers anywhere. So not true. No $9.95. So,
You want this one?
so you could pay by. We have people that still come into our office with cash. So if they want to do that, that does exist still. But people can pay with ACH, credit card, all 4 forms of different payment, no different than what you're doing now. Or auto pay, yes. So, or an old-fashioned check. So.
Our office here in Minneapolis is at 315 27th Avenue Northeast. It's right off the corner of 27th Avenue and University. Thank you.
Yeah, it's as the crow flies, it's about 7 miles from here. So.
It's at 315. Obviously, when people call in to set up, we understand the phones are going to be busy and we don't want people holding. So we will also probably direct calls we have 5 CSRs in Rochester, so they will help too. So obviously, we can say everything can come here to Minneapolis. We don't want you guys waiting, but it will be answered by somebody in Minnesota.
What we've done too is when we do a rollout, assuming we're successful with the community and the community's happy about organized collection, we would set up a cart portal where we'd send a postcard to all the residents, give them an option to select their cart size. When you select your cart size, that would be the time where you could also give us a phone number if you want that communication on a weather delay or a holiday week, just as a reminder, or a text or an email. And we'll also create an email address that's unique. So it might be, moundsview@lrsrecycles.com, where you could just communicate with our customer service team, and we know it's only coming from Mounds View. So those are little things that we'll do that will kind of give it a unique touch and allow for future communication as well. But the cart portal is kind of a nice way for those to select what they want, what services they want to, between the small, medium, and large cart, whether it's yard waste subscription, and kind of set the program up prior to April 1st.
These are three for you guys. Do you currently have the trucks and staff for our city? What kind of trucks will you use? And do we have to pay a fee when we move?
Want me to address that one, Josh?
Well, I think you already spoke about the fee.
When they move?
From us, no, there is no fee when you move in this contract with us, and we don't have that in any of our contracts when residents move. It will be brand-new trucks. And what was one of the?
You have the trucks and staff.
We do have the trucks. The staff, we do have the staff. Do we have the drivers? No. We'll have to hire a couple drivers to start. We have enough drivers if we had to start tomorrow, but we like to have what we call swing drivers, which are drivers that are there for vacation routes. And but we will be planning on hiring 2 full-time drivers, one for waste, one for recycle, and those 2 will also do the yard waste on the 5th day in the community. So they'll be in the community Monday through Friday. But we do require 2 drivers that we have not, and they might be within our team, but these will be new positions that we're creating for obvious reasons.
Well, and just to add to that a little bit, if just to ask a question, so if the vote passes, when would you actually be rolling out, and when would these drivers have to be in place?
That'd be April. What if my answer is the same as yours?
Yeah, it would be April. Obviously, we'll start looking immediately. As you guys know, with the economy, it's hard to find good drivers. We want to make sure we find the right people, but we will get on this right away if this passes. We will start the communication to all residents. So like I said, it is a smooth rollout. Like, obviously, we want this to go smooth for you guys. Just as much as you guys want it to go smooth, we feel the same way. So we'll start with the communication. It would be very soon, probably in November already.
Well, in my experience too, and despite my youthful looks, I've been in this industry 35 years now. So, but in my experience, often drivers that are currently working in the community will want to stay in the community. So it wouldn't shock me if between the 4 or 5 waste haulers that are in here currently, some of their drivers look to stay on permanently with us. That's very, very typical. So, but if not, we will hire these drivers sometime prior to March. We like to run routes prior to the April 1st start, so the drivers kind of know where they're going. We'll also keep our drivers on staff the first Saturday, first probably 2 or 3 Saturdays. That way, anything missed the first Friday for those with Friday service, we're there and available. Is it perfect when you roll out something like this? It's never perfect. I would never sit here and tell a room of residents here, concerned residents, since you made the time to be here, that it's perfect. But we're available, and that's the key, so we can recover quickly and make sure that you don't have garbage sitting around till the next week. For us, it's important that we get it the same day or next day when something's missed, or if it's set out late because the times have changed with the new program. That's often something that we see too. So we'll make sure to be very understanding and have people available the first few weeks, even sometimes the first month, depending on how much of a change it is. So,
Mounds View, just so you're aware, Mounds View does have specified collection times in its ordinance. These two kind of go together. Does all the trash and recycling get dumped together? And where does the trash get dumped?
I don't know if you looked where. I think the trash is going to get dumped at the Ramsey County facility. And the recycling will go to Eureka Recycling. Separate trucks. We're not commingling either of them, so it will be separated. Yeah, you'll have a separate cart for waste and a separate one for recycle. I'm sorry, what? No,
That's
it's
built
all,
into the
it's
rate.
all inclusive.
This is a common question, and so many residents who do not generate much garbage pool their garbage and recycling together, thereby reducing costs. So are there any provisions for this? So tote sharing for people that don't generate a lot of trash?
I don't think there's any provision for that. That's probably one, well, we have a cost that we pro forma'd. If everyone starts sharing, we wouldn't be able to charge $27 a month because we'd be getting a lot, we assume that the average household generates 50 pounds a week, about 35 pounds of waste, about 15 pounds of recycling. When you start co-sharing, all of a sudden it becomes 60 or 70 pounds a week, and but we are charging a lot less though. So, if at $40 to $45, I could see the benefit of sharing. It'll probably get the cost closer to where our contracted price would be. So,
One thing I'd like to add to that too, one thing that we did do on our bid is for the people that are sharing now, we're offering a 35-gallon that is every other week. So that's probably not offered to you right now, but for someone that isn't generating a lot of trash, you can have a 35-gallon that's serviced every other week that's at a heavily discounted rate, and that also is available to veterans and military and the first responders in the community.
Is there a veterans discount?
Yes.
What is it?
Senior citizen.
Yes.
There is a senior citizen discount and a veterans discount.
Vince.
Y-
Yeah, all those prices are on the webpage and the cards in back. They're all published. And so you can look them up, either just get a card or go to the webpage.
Oh. Is there, essentially this question is asking if there's a snowbird provision if they are gone for a couple months. There is.
There is, okay.
Yeah.
good.
Yep, there is, and I apologize, I don't remember the exact language on the weeks. Niall, did we say they had to be gone over 4 weeks, was it? 3 weeks? So you have to be gone more than 3 weeks. So if, yes, you did go south for the winter months, you'd call in, suspend your service, we wouldn't bill you, and then when you get back, you call us and we'll start billing again.
Does LRS pay prevailing wages and union benefits to their employees?
Yes. We're one of the few that are Teamsters. Most of the waste haulers in this market are not Teamsters. We are Teamsters, so. And have been for 24 years, so.
I can answer this question. It does this start before we vote on it? No. It does not. Current trash pickup. Does LRS currently have? I'll come back to that one. Yeah, go ahead, Julie.
All right, the question was, what was the decision matrix? What criteria were considered other than price? Cheapest is not always best. How are the bids scored? It was 65% price, 15% customer service, 10% cart rollout, 5% experience, and 5% community presence. So me being on one of the 2 council members on the committee that looked at that and scored it, I went through each of the proposals with a fine-tooth comb and scored them based off of that. Aspen was extremely close to the scoring when I scored mine. And ultimately, before I was on council, as part of Project Arden, we did a community survey, and I think had over 100 people reply, and like probably the largest percentage of people responded to that and just wanted the lowest price. There was a percentage of people that don't want it, and a percentage that really do want it, and the biggest group just wanted the lowest price. So that was my personal reason for choosing them over Aspen, but it was a group decision, and we all scored it on our own individually.
So this question is why were the current trash haulers were not involved, and the question is why. 4 of the 5 haulers that currently serve our community submitted a bid, and they just weren't competitive to the point of pricing, liquidated damages, and some of the other things that we were looking for, and that's why they weren't selected. I think you answered this already. Does RLS currently have a presence here? And you already have people in Minnesota and in the area, and I assume a separate recycling container is included. So this question is, if the ballot is approved, how long will the city be in control of garbage collection? Is there an end date? So this contract is for 7 years, and then at that point it would be up for a renewal and potentially a conversation if the community wanted to go back to the open market or stay into organized collection. But if it's approved, the contract's 7 years. Yeah.
Right. So the whole process of going to organized collection is laid out in Minnesota state statute, and it's the 115.94 section. You can go, it's also on the webpage, but that section says, and the first contract shall be for 7 years. In researching that and talking to haulers as we went through the negotiations with the haulers, they took part in those drafting of that legislation. They need to amortize their trucks, and they need to amortize their toters. It's about $400,000 worth of toters, and so that was the explanation given to us why they want that 7-year contract. But it's a statutory requirement. We have no choice but to just go into a 7-year contract.
So this question is essentially about pickup times. Are they early in the day, or do you have an idea of when you would be picking up?
Don't wake us up too early.
Unfortunately, like I said, there's set times that we can pick up. Obviously, some people probably prefer, say, 7 o'clock is the time. Some people prefer 7 o'clock. Some people prefer in the afternoon. We're obviously going to build the routes as efficient, so we can't promise a pickup time. Obviously, with 4,000 residents, over 4 days, we can't pick 1,000 people up in the first hour. Yeah, 2,000 homes or 4,000 homes. 4,000 homes. So there are no set times. It will be within the required time limit set by the city of Mounds View.
It'll be, I think we're going, once we're established, it'll be consistent. So if we're used to, 7 to 9 o'clock, it'll be 7 to 9. If it's usually, 1 to 3, it'll be 1 to 3. There will be consistency so that you won't have to play a guessing game every Tuesday on if we're coming at 7 a.m. or 3 p.m. Yeah, we know that.
This question is, can we have recycling weekly and trash every 2 weeks?
That was not one of the options that we bid on that were presented, and we gave a whole smorgasbord of options, which I think was a benefit to the community. That was not one of them. We do have every other week recycling with the 35-gallon, but not, we don't have the every other week garbage.
Some of the other companies didn't even offer a second recycling. Some of the other companies or a lot of them didn't offer a second tote. Some of the other companies that bid on it didn't even offer a second recycling tote, because that would be a question that I ask. Can you pick up my recycling every week and garbage every other? But these guys had a reasonable price on a second recycling tote.
So right now, you probably have one trash, one recycling. Say you had a large family. If you needed 2 recycling, you could have 2 recycling totes.
Did we, this question, did we get a count of people here? Oh. Okay, yeah, so there's a count of people here this evening. Somebody asked this question. There is 136, includes 3 Tribute Park, 3 staff, and 4 council member and 2 people from LRS. So give yourselves all a hand for coming this evening. And a dog, yes. On the city card mailer under the annual price increase, what is the plus adjustment based on disposal fees? And in the 3.5% annual price increase, is yard waste included in the 3.5%?
Yes, yard waste is included. The plus would only be if there's any state mandated fees. For example, the state currently has, I don't think they want to call it a tax, is it a fee?
It's a 9.75% Minnesota solid waste management tax. So
But
if that
it's
would
not on
change,
residential.
no, it is. That's the residential.
Okay.
It's on your trash only. And then Washington Ramsey has a 29%, 28% that's included in those rates.
While he's storing, somebody said, again, a question on the every other week, said you can't have, there is an every other week for the 35-gallon trash. That's part of the contract, part of the bid.
How about people who have no trash?
Write it down.
There would still be you could pick the lowest option. Yeah.
Well, no, there's an opt-out provision.
Yeah,
Is there? Oh, there is an opt-out?
Right.
Okay, we
Our
capitulated to that, I guess.
Yeah, our waste standards that the city has adopted provide for an opt-out. There's a form, it's on the webpage. If you can't find it, email me. You have to fill out that form and demonstrate that you have a environmentally sound process to get that state statute. And so if you own a business that has a dumpster service, you tell me where that business is, the address, and the waste hauler. I have to go investigate that if that's what's going on. Then you can opt out. Okay? That's current practice, and it'll continue. It's got nothing to do with the contract.
This question is will you publish the contract prior to the vote? And yes, the contract is published on the city website. It's available for view at any time. It's also in the August 12th packet if you just want to go to the council meeting and look at that packet. I also link all these things on Facebook every week. When we have a meeting, I link the agenda and packet, so all that stuff is available there. But it is available for view on city website. The administrator can email you a PDF copy of it if you'd like to see it. But it's one of the things that's very interesting about organized collection is if the city goes organized, the contract is public. It's not a secret to anybody what's being charged, what's happening. It's not like the current system that we have now where you don't even know what your neighbor's paying. Like everybody knows what you're paying. Like for example, you can log on to Blaine's website and you can see exactly what they pay for trash collection because they've been organized for 40 years. So that's one of the unique benefits of organized, and that I mentioned that in the speech, is that it does guarantee price transparency for the next 7 years if it were to pass.
Again, and just sharing information, the contract was drafted by the city attorney of Mounds View. We drafted the contract. The respondents had the option in the RFP to note if they had any changes to the contract, and then they had to detail those. LRS was one of two, I believe, that had no changes. The rest had changes. So it's our contract that they're accepting.
Yeah, and again, from my experience, there's a lot of bells and whistles that are really beneficial to the community. Some that I would normally argue on just because it makes it a little more difficult for us. But this is a contract that we thought, being newer to the market on the residential side to, David, I know, worked hard with the city staff and city attorney to make sure that nothing could come back that would look negative. So I do apologize about not knowing about the opt-out. I thought that was something that wasn't in there. So, yeah, it's got all the bells and whistles. So.
This question is what is the advantage to going to one collector? That's subjective, right? I mean, if you value knowing the price and knowing what it's going to be, independent of a 3.5% inflator, and nobody can control what the disposal fees come up a number of times. So as an example, right now our disposal fee with Ramsey County is 28%. It's on your current trash bill now, and if the city goes organized, it'll be on that trash bill too. If Ramsey County raises it to 35%, it'll be on your current trash bill now, and it would be on an organized bill as well. The city doesn't have any control over what Ramsey County sets as the disposal fee. There are people that are not crazy about multiple large trucks going up and down their street every Thursday. There are people that don't like the noise. There are people that care about the pricing. There are people that just think that it's a more equitable system for everybody. So those could be the perceived advantages of organized, but really that's subjective, and that's up to all of you to decide.
If I could just add to that, another non-financial benefit too is we'll collect waste and recycling data. So we'll measure the average weight per home of waste and recycling and look for contamination to see where can we do better education with the schools in the community. Those kids are great. If we could educate the kids, and we have curriculum that we give to teachers for we've got like kindergarten through 5th grade, and then we got 6th through 8th grade, and then high school and even college curriculum. And so we could kind of measure to see as a community, how are we doing recycling wise? What are some things that we're seeing are common contaminants where, again, we're not punitive, no one's getting fined or charged or anything, but we could just do a better job of educating and then give the city information to say, hey, here's how much is being recycled from the community each year, and we have something to measure that going forward. With an open market, there's no measurements. It's hard to really identify what you're doing and what you're not doing and what we could do for education. And Minnesota's a great recycling state, ranks up there in the top 5% throughout the country every year. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in the education and in recycling in general, but it's nice to see some of that data. So.
I'm going to add something to that. So right now, the city of Mounds View gets a recycling grant. And the information that they're talking about, how much recycling is done, what kind of recycling is done, that's all information that the city is already gathering, so we can continue to get that recycling grant to promote recycling within our community, to educate on recycling. So they're already doing it. We're already doing it for the city.
So this question is about driver safety. It says how about an area for the drivers, and then what is the price and fee? The price is set, and after the fees, that's all on the information back on the table that we just discussed before. So I guess if you could address what you guys do for driver safety.
Yeah, of course. No, I think this is something that's really important to me and LRS as a company. Obviously, what I tell my drivers every morning is your job is to get home safe and keep the community that you work in safe. So all of our drivers go through a background test. They're DOT employees, so they're subject to a drug and alcohol test before they start work, and then we have random sampling of drug and alcohol every quarter per DOT standards. Safety is a big thing to us. We have a safety meeting every week with our guys. We'll have cameras in the trucks that we can watch the guys. We'll do observations in your community on the drivers. So they're a representation of LRS, and like I said, they need to be safe, and they will operate within all laws.
No. No quotas. But like David said, we do hold safety in the highest regard. When you look at our values as an organization, safety is number one. We were just acknowledged over the last couple of years as one of the safest waste and recycling companies in the country. This was by the National Waste and Recycling Association. So we're doing a lot of good things on the safety front. These are measurables that we have. We'd be glad to share with city and city staff all the different measurables that we have for safety. But it's extremely important to us. I can't begin to tell you how important safety is. So got a bunch of questions here. So.
Yeah, I think most of these are, I mean, there's this one's come up twice, and it says, so is the $27 rate, is that the rate for the smallest bin? No, that is the highest of all the charges. I think that's with all the fees. It's like $27.20 for a 95-gallon. Yeah, that's the highest. I think the senior bi-weekly small can is somewhere around, it's very close to $20 a month. So that's kind of the range, is from 20 to 27 and 20 is the, I don't have the sheet right in front of me, but that's pretty close to what it is. This question was asked twice. And it says, will LRS be added to the current haulers if this doesn't pass? And I guess that would be up to you if you wanted to apply for a license.
That's a good possibility that we would. So.
Go ahead.
I can't do 10 questions in 10 seconds. I'm going to try close. Are you going to have garbage police looking for people who are not putting garbage out? No. Please address why the opposition. Are we going to have garbage police looking for garbage not put out? No. Okay. Please address why the opposition flyer says that contract data is public, i.e. snowbird absence, phone numbers, et cetera, state says it's public.
I can't hear you.
Is it not picking it up here? How about this? How about this? Yeah. Please address the opposition flyer that says contract data is public, i.e. snowbird absences, phone numbers, et cetera. That's absolutely false. There's a statute that absolutely protects this contract data, and we don't have it. It's going to the hauler. We can't give data that we don't have. So it's blatantly inaccurate, blatantly false. Statute that in the organized, when you have that, that's all private data. It's all protected, but more important, we don't have it. Okay? We couldn't give it out. What is the overflow trash, the charge? They've already addressed that. That's if your lid is up several times over several weeks, a lot.
And let me correct that. No, okay? Your lid could be up every single week. Our drivers don't have time to be writing anything up or doing extra work. Okay, so.
Are we still able to take our yard waste to Arden Park? Absolutely, yes. It's not going anywhere. It's still open. Why aren't commercial businesses included in organized collection? This effort was specific to toters. Most businesses have dumpsters. Okay? Is that something council may contemplate in the future? They've never discussed it. They may discuss it. But this is specifically for residential toters. What happens if you have a contract with another company that has already said, do I have to pay that off? The statutes, again, that govern go to organize, negate all those contracts. They just end. So if you've got a contract with Walters or Waste Management or Republic, by going to organize, those just cease. They no longer exist by state statute. Okay? If I'm unhappy with LRS, how hard would it be to vote it out? You can't vote it out. Why 7 years has already been addressed. But again, the liquidated damages component is progressive. It starts at a $50 fine and goes all the way up to a $1,000 fine. That allows us to impose fiscal penalties of significance to disincentivize them, but also then to hire somebody else if we need to. Okay? It also then is progressive to the point that we can terminate the contract if there's failure to comply. Again, they were one of two that accepted those liquidated damages in the proposal. Does the monthly fee include the high Ramsey County tax? Okay, it's the Ramsey County tax, and yes, they all do. What process is in place if LRS doesn't pick up as promised? That's the liquidated damages. What is the backup plan if LRS goes bankrupt? That would be true for any vendor. That's a process that takes a number of years. There's other vendors that would step into the marketplace. We would have the liquidated damages. That's a doomsday. I can't respond any better than that. And that's what I got in my rapid fire.
The opposition flyer says that Minnesota weather snow treatment is a bigger contributor to wear and tear than trucks. What is the city's response to that data? Well, it's true. We do have a lot of heating, freezing and thawing, and freezing and thawing, and that is hard on roads. And I will be the first to tell you that the road argument was the last one that I personally thought had any viability. But then I actually started paying attention to where heavy trucks drive in the city. And if you drive by Tommy's Car Wash and go down Bronson Road, how does that road look? And what drives there? That's where all our public works equipment come. Our next worst road is H2, which serves the industrial park. And what drives there? Heavy trucks. So are heavy trucks contributors to road degradation? I can't say whether it is or it isn't. I can say that evidence from what I see in the city suggests that it might be. I think that when you look at Bronson and you look at H2 as an example, they're in a lot worse shape than a lot of our other roads that have traffic on them. And the traffic that you see most specifically there is heavy vehicles. So I think that would be the city response to that question. Is that County Road H2? Yeah, the one that runs behind the Bear Lot. Maintained by the county? That's our road, isn't it, Don? Yeah. Yeah.
They gave it to us.
Will the organized collection program increase the city or staff budget? And the answer is no. We're not doing any of the billing or any of the customer service. That's what they're doing. So there won't need to be any additional staff resources allocated to organized collection. That being said, like if there's an issue and people call the city, are we going to deal with it? Absolutely. Do we have the staffing to handle that now? We do. And I don't think that it will require hiring another person to deal with the customer service that they'll primarily be dealing with. I don't know the answer to that one.
So the question is on fourplexes. The fourplexes have an opt-in option because it's a combination of do they have the room for toters and then toter sharing that's not authorized, right? So somebody goes and puts their trash in the other unit's toter. So that's up to those fourplex owners to opt in and then sort that out. We don't want to get in any of that. Our drive-by survey shows 60, 70% of them are dumpster services. There's only a few that have toters.
But we will make it very accessible and easy for them. We're already in town. It's not part of the contract, so we can provide a favorable price for any multi-unit buildings with dumpsters. So.
And we have talked about this too. If the contract is approved, the city will move to LRS. That was a concern. One of the things that the flyer pointed out in the past is that the city won't be required to use their services. That's true because we have commercial services, but we would take on the dumpster service and have them service the city as well. So this question is kind of specific about how you come to discounts and who gets them and why. So I believe you are doing seniors, veterans, and first responders. Can you explain the criteria and thought process behind the discount and why those folks get it and then others don't?
That's a tough one. I don't know who else we would maybe throw in there. Did we add veterans, or was that part of it initially? Yeah, I think we added that afterwards.
And first responders.
And first responders, that's right. That was not part of it. Seniors was always part of the RFP, so we did add 2 other categories for that.
Yeah, veterans are part of the RFP. I guess one thing is the first responders. Obviously, we talked about it. It's a community. We want to give back to the community. That was one of the things in the pro forma is how are you involved in the community? Obviously, your first responders, they're doing a lot of good things in the community. So we thought, hey, we will pass some of that savings on to your first responders. That was our thought process.
Well, I'm gonna welcome you guys to Mounds View because we have really good negotiators out in the audience. Can you pay your bill for a full year at a time, and will you give them a discount? Any talk about collecting organics and food waste? Where does all the yard waste go? And where does LRS say plastic bags should go, recycle, or trash?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll try to remember all of those. Yeah, there we go. So we'll start with the easy one. Plastic bags should be trash. Obviously, you know, I've taken the last couple of years of vacation in Denver. So if you go out to Colorado and California, plastic bags are actually banned. If you go to a store and you want to get a plastic bag, they actually make you pay for it. So, but to answer this question, plastic bags go in the trash. And I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota moves to that sooner than later, banning them. But yeah, see, there are recycle options too. Yeah, you're right. There are recycle options. The yard waste, where does yard waste go? We need to finalize that. We'll probably take it to the DEMCON transfer station. I believe they take yard waste, or we'll find a transfer station that takes it that's the closest and the most price competitive for us. Are you talking about collecting organics and food waste? Isn't there a program already through Ramsey? Yeah, there's a program through Ramsey County, so we are not looking at it at this point. We would just stick with the trash, recycle, and yard waste. And then, can you pay your bill for the entire year in advance and will we give a discount? We do allow people to pay for an entire year. We would not offer a discount just because our rates were competitive. So unfortunately, we did not build that in.
And I'm just going to touch on the organics at Ramsey. It's the Ramsey Washington County Recycling Processing Waste Facility. Our trash goes there. There's no other place for it to go by law. It's an incredible facility. I think it's about 18 acres of processing. You can walk inside these machines. They just installed the robots. So there's 4 cities already in the program. Eventually, in the next 5 years, you'll get green compostable bags that you put your organics right in your trash. And when they go and dump there, and it works its way through the system, robots pick these green and put it into an anaerobic digester, and it all gets composted. That's the new future.
So we're all out of organized collection questions.
Oh.
Yes.
States here, $6.20 per incident. Are you telling me that's not accurate?
They're talking about the lid up fee.
There is, no fee for any lids up. Your lids could be up as long as we can have the automation pick up the cart and the driver's not getting out of the truck. You could stack up your garbage in your cart.
So at Christmas time, you've driven around and there's a can there, and have you ever seen when there's 8 bags around the can? That's what we're talking about. Like, we're looking at the people that are excessive on it. Yep, if it's in the container or the lid's up, it's not a charge, but we're talking about the people that goes in the trash. But yeah, we're talking about for the extras, the stuff that would be in large bags outside the container. You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Buy a new
Mac.
The recycling is every other week.
Where do you buy your trucks? Where do you buy your trucks?
I don't want to fully commit, but what we're probably looking at is a Mac McNeilus is what I would prefer. But like I said, we haven't purchased them yet. But
Well, we've got 150 trucks ordered,
Yeah.
and they're a combination of Mack chassis and McNeilus and Heil bodies. So we've got 150 trucks coming to our organization starting in the fourth quarter here. Well, we've got replacements, we've got new and growth, so that's why I said we have the trucks for April. It's just we don't know where they're all going yet. And so if he wants his Mack McNeilus, he may get it. Otherwise, he'll be Mack and a Heil body. I know him well, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting close to time. There's a few more non-trash related questions that I want to answer really quick. This is, when is Mounds View going to fly the new state flag? I don't know if the resident that wrote this is still here, but we certainly can take and look at getting one of those. And if this resident wants to connect with me, maybe we could do a proclamation of celebrating flying the new state flag. But to answer the question, I don't know that we've had a specific timeline or conversation about putting that up. This one's actually for you, Sherry. This first part here. You want me to read it? Or you got it?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, the small town feel?
Yeah.
All right, so this one says, you introduced the park as having the goal of being part of that small town feeling by keeping folks in the area. How do you imagine citizens engaging with the space? So when we're done here, please go over and look at the drawings. So you'll come out and walk through the path, and along that path, there will be different stones with pictures and engravings that are to the 65 tornado, the pipeline fire, the 35W bridge, like I said, that we lost residents to. But along that path, too, those pavers will be along there. You'll be able to look at the different people who have been being honored there. In the middle of it will be benches that you'll be able to sit and just spend some quiet time. And hopefully we'll have benches around the outside of it too, that just a place to contemplate, have some quiet time, reflect on who your loved one is and you know, what you want to remember. So.
Yeah, it's a passive activity. We learned some new terms through the. I'll address them after the meeting. I'll address it afterwards. Your question was specifically about the discount, and he addressed it. Your question was specifically about the discount, and he addressed that. It was part of the RFP. It was part of the contract that was put forward. Can we talk afterwards, Tony? Right, but we're scheduled to be done at 8, and I'd like to finish the meeting, and then we could talk afterwards. We could go to Mo's, right? So, as I close, I once again want to say we are a strong, vibrant, and welcoming community, and what we are doing here tonight is building community. And I'm so proud of the work we have all done together. I want to thank all of you for coming and being interested in our community and this event. And please remember to get out and vote between now and November 5th or on Election Day. And don't forget our Fall Festival on this Thursday, October 24th at the Community Center. And I look forward to seeing you there, and have a great night, everybody.